Hello, everyone. We're finally here with the Adam, Duff, and I
Yes.
with the Brush Sauce Challenge of create, illustrate, or design an Ocean Princess, which was the
Yes.
theme. So we have a lot here. We're going to be a little bit more to the point today, since we're both on kind of restraints, and we're just going to give you the best feedback we can in the shortest amount of time.
Yeah, yeah. And a hell of a lot of submissions, so thank you very much for
Yes,
that,
there's
guys.
a lot to go over.
We're very
So
impressed.
we'll go from left to right, top to bottom.
Yeah.
So if you need to skip to what if you're interested in just what yours is, you can probably find it that way.
Okay.
All right. So this is a submission by. Let me see. Entry 2. I'm sorry. I don't. Oh, this. Oh, I know this is Hans. I think you submitted the original one with your name on it. That's fine. But I know who's this one in particular. But this is awesome.
Nice, nice with the
Good
references
submission
and everything set up.
side. Yeah, you put in your stuff's always a delight to look at.
Yeah.
Like off the top of the head, I don't immediately see anything that's jarring with this, which is awesome. I think we could get a little bit more form on the whale itself. It comes off as a little bit graphic-y and flat by comparison to the character here,
Yeah.
which is really nicely rendered.
Beautiful.
The same with the rocks. I think could use a little more cleanup, but I mean that's nitpicking this.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to be careful. You don't want your only light source on that whale, for instance, to be just one rim light type of light source, or you lose all the three-dimensional volume of it. So throw in a little bit of bounce light off the bottom of them or something like that would make a huge difference.
Yeah,
Especially for a sunny day like that, right?
yeah, if you're just picking up a few of the values or something from like the environment, get a little of that kind of sheen on it
Yeah.
that a whale kind of has. This isn't the best brush for it, but it's like a little bit of those sparkles
Absolutely,
to their
yeah.
skin
Yeah.
can go a long way. Let me see. Yeah, and that's just kind of finding in this particular one where you want to show that form. So
Yeah.
you're already kind of giving it a lot more volume with that, getting some of the sky color on it, maybe a
Yeah.
little more of the greens underneath it, so on and so forth. But I mean, overall, it's fantastic,
Gorgeous.
and you can really see that. The energy and the motion with the splash in the water here. I think this could use a little bit more of that. It's jumping a little too cleanly, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Be a little bit more. Remember, nature is very random and chaotic. So having waves that make a perfect line like that doesn't feel very natural. Have those waves splash and be a little wilder, right? Pay attention to stuff like that.
Yeah, and the other little thing that I just noticed, maybe like re-look at how the pinch in her stomach is looking, because it looks
Yeah.
like up to here she's pretty like flat, but then we know she's kind of hunched and bent over, and we
Yeah.
see that, but it's not kind of following through and over to the side. So just
Yeah.
give that a little more attention. I think it'd be worth revisiting.
Yeah,
But awesome
absolutely.
job, dude.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right.
Marie Bricks.
Rubrics. All right. I like the name too. That's a very Hollywood name right there.
Yeah.
Ooh, nice. I haven't seen this one yet. That's really
Me
nicely
neither.
done.
Okay, awesome sketches and process. I mean, you followed it pretty much through. You did a better job than I think some other people have. Like, you actually really articulated. I mean, as small as it is, I could see you articulated the underlying drawing really well. Which I think is a big mistake that enough people, they're just kind of, they do this, right? And then they just rush to the painting.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
And
yours
they're
structurally holds up pretty well.
Yeah. Good. And compositionally, lovely. The way you framed those two characters in the background and the little
Yeah.
kind of guy hanging on for his dear life, throwing up at the bottom. One thing I would look out for is poses. Always get up yourself and see how far extreme you can go. And you'll notice you see this very often where you're turning your head to a complete 90-degree turn, chin over shoulder thing. That's a really hyperextended. That's almost the extreme, and that's not a comfortable pose. I'm not going
Yeah.
to stand there on a boat doing this. It's not comfortable, right? I'd be more likely to go about maybe like a 75-degree turn or
Yeah,
something like
anything
that.
more
right?
than this, you're really twisting and jerking, and I mean, it's good to over exaggerate in some things,
Yeah.
but it's a little thing that a lot of people called me out in some of my earlier illustrations as well.
Yeah.
It doesn't just quite feel there's overextending and exaggerating, and then there's just things that get into the realm that feels a little unnatural, and this is where it's kind of bordering.
Yeah, yeah.
For me personally, it's a little heavy on the monochromatic side, which has its time and place. There's a lot of films are color graded, and there's a cinematic appeal to that. But for me, if you're approaching this as an illustration, as a painting, I think there's a little bit more wiggle room to kind of imbue it with a lot of more subtleties with some color.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just because like everything is 1 degree or another of blue, you're going up and down, just basically like this in a very monochromatic way. Take this slider, according to my settings here, and I would just want to nudge that a bit and then nudge that. So nudge, and just keep nudging it around. You can start sprinkling little bits of color, and it's study Nathan Fox paintings, of course, or anything from DreamWorks. Or traditional paintings is what I just type in traditional oil paintings, still lifes, human figure studies, anything, landscapes, and you can see how much color they put into things.
Yeah.
But overall, I love this awesome idea and well detailed, and it's clearly presented, which I love.
Yeah.
I always love that.
Very nice on the eyes.
CP Morris, what's up, dude?
Now we're getting color.
Yes, this is color. Awesome. I like that you have the idea of the initial sketch and you planned your values. You can probably see the value in that. You certainly got better, than some of your previous submissions, and I'm sure having the roadmap here kind of helped guide your way a lot more. With that said, as I just mentioned with the previous one, I think this is a great rough sketch, but I think this is one of those situations where it would have benefited you a lot more to go back over doing a more thorough sketch over it, like turn down the tracing paper and do a more comprehensive study and feel over some of the particulars, like the hands and the torso itself. Because as we can see here, it's very straight, very static and stiff. Actually, I don't want to do it with that one. Let me see, yellow, something that we can see it with. So if we go here, oh, it's on color dodge. Oh, that color dodge. If we go here to like here, right? It's just perfectly straight. Everything is very mechanical and robot. When things are underwater, or even kind of floating, something we're like underwater, and I'll bring this example up, I'm sure, a few times today. Things just have a lot more motion and fluidity to them. There's a lot more movement in the composition, and this is what you want to get.
Yeah. See a very strong use of the diagonal line, right? It's one of the art fundamentals. You have vertical, horizontal, and diagonal, and you want to get that nice dynamic feel to it.
I think you'll agree. It's perfectly fine to view our subject in a pictorial space straight on, just as you did. But when you do that, you want to create the S-curve and the motion. Like if you have your head here, and you're having the head kind of look in this direction, you can always have like the torso and the spine kind of curve around this way. Have the chest pointing out this way. So if I'm drawing like the rib cage, and then we have the torso here, you can have the front of it going that way, and then the body's crunching and you're going around.
Yeah.
And so the front, it adds just a lot more motion, having the shoulders uneven or having one relaxed.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the sort of thing, but that's something you wouldn't find really until you go back in over something like this, your initial idea, and give it more attention and more thought.
Yeah, you're taking the same pose basically, and you're giving it a little bit more variety and gesture to it to make it a little bit more exciting rather than just being too straight and mechanical, right?
And
makes all the difference.
Yeah, and with that said, try to stay true to your value studies. You did very well differentiating the different areas and planes here, but once we get into this, we have dark, we have light, it flattens out quite a bit. This is all really overexposed, probably, for what you want to go for. Go tone it down, use the subtlety in it. So if your character's face is light, then keep this dark behind it. See, look how much more that character's face pops out. And again, that one sample, we see if we have light behind the face, it's going to be really dark. And then if it's going to be warmer tone, it's going to be cooler tone. You can balance it with color as well as value.
And you can see a lot of trading card art, right? Because we both Tyler and I both do that. In trading card art, you can see a common trend is to have a high contrast area on the main character in the foreground, and the background, whatever's in the background's been knocked back and washed out to give it that nice, strong pop. Pitt, if you look at Magic the Gathering art, for instance, like what we're looking at there, you'll see it's a very common theme. You can steal that for your own stuff. Wow,
Yeah,
look at this.
hey, it's an awesome, and I like how
Wow.
you broke it as simply as putting a square within a square, meaning your subject within the frame, and
Yep.
found as many combinations as possible. You're really starting to grasp
Hmm.
the whole aspect of grouping your values, which
Yeah.
yeah, C.P. Morris was just kind of exploring as well. And once it's a really tough thing to master, but once you can kind of comprehend all of this a lot more, your images will start reading a lot better. And, and not that readability is an issue with yours at all. Yours reads just fine. But yeah, it's just a great way to naturally kind of progress in terms of our image making.
I would mention one thing in terms of composition. Always, even if you can't, for instance, see the feet or you can't see the hands because they're hidden behind something, subconsciously we're looking for it. So, for instance, if you cut the image off, if let's say your hand is
The
being covered by
wrist.
that cloth, but you've cut the wrist off, that's an awkward place to cut the image. Include that cloth, but crop your image down, including a bit of space for those hands as well, so that it frames nicely. Otherwise, it's going to look like you cut it off too short.
So
That's
if your
something
reference, for instance, which is a nice reference for what you did, if your reference ends there, all that means is for you is to have someone or take someone's photo with the similar lighting coming
The
down
hands,
from here and fill in the blanks.
Hmm.
Like the scientists did with the dinosaur DNA in Jurassic Park. You just gotta fill in the blanks with your own photography and references. It is a bit of a weird angle it feels for the shot. Like this one, it feels a little more like you can see her looking down at it more. You could play up the speculars a little bit to help that, make it look like her skin's a little wet and stuff. But at this, there's a crunch in it that I can see is perfectly referenced here. But I don't know about you, Adam, but for me, this feels like it's really kind of just like crushed here. Like if this is the leg.
I am. It feels that, but actually, it's doing almost the same thing in the photographic reference. But you'll see something compositionally in the photograph that's not happening in yours. Just something to be conscious of. Notice that crack in the rock that extends from her shoulder out. Okay. Notice how that creates a nice movement through the image like that. Where in yours, you actually brought your cliffside down, which pushes the emphasis into the back, into her back. That line coming from the green little cliff you've got in your image on the right.
Yeah, well, that could be a way
extends
too,
towards
Adam.
the back. See?
Which
I think I lost your video there, Tyler. Or mine.
share screen.
Uh-oh.
Technical difficulties. We will edit this out.
Skype's been doing that a lot lately, by the way. You need Skype Premium. I got your video back.
All right, I just don't see your face.
Yeah, my video just got blacked. Ugh, fucking Skype, it's been doing this, like, a lot lately.
I just updated mine last night, so I'm not sure what it'll do.
Yeah, mine's been doing this with my last two students as well. Update available details. Now, I'm seeing myself, but dark. I'm seeing your screen and my video as dark. So let me hide my video and bring it back. Hopefully it doesn't keep happening. Oh, fuck, what the hell? Here, okay, let me go back into my webcam settings.
Yeah, I can't put my finger on that one image exactly because he stayed true pretty well to that reference, but it feels like she's just missing a whole section of her pelvis.
I think it's cropped. The image is cropped
Right, yeah.
at a turning point where we're not satisfied with the full form of that thigh, right? So just kind of extend that through. If you're going to include a bit of that thigh, go all the way. Don't just start the curve and then cut it off. That's where it feels a bit awkward.
I think that's why.
Yeah. There we go. All right, so we're back in
I
action.
don't see. Okay, here you are. You know what else too about this? I thought this was a wave, so there's unclarity with that. All right, well, that's three things we interpreted as, so we'll go over that in a second. All right, so as we were saying, before we had a little bit of a technical difficulty, you have this shape here, and we interpreted it as three different things actually, being a rock, a wave, and we finally decided it's part of the cloth on the outfit. So that's a problem right there, design and rendering wise. You want to make the material look
More materially.
accurate to what it is, so there's not that discrepancy.
Yeah.
And of course, as Adam was saying, the shape of how that looks as well can help with the composition and the flow.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing that both Tyler and I had spotted when we were off camera there for a sec was that the thigh area, her thigh and butt area, is cropped a little bit shy, a bit with the hand too, where we're starting to get the nice curve, and then you cut it off a bit short. So if you were to extend that and get a bit more of that leg in there and include the hand, I think that would really make for a much more satisfying shot. Yeah.
Right.
This beautiful artwork by our favorite artist, Submission. Tsuki Draw.
Oh, sorry, we have
the name. Okay, awesome.
We do have the name here. Thank you.
Because the title of the thing said Submission. Okay, Antal Camellia.
Nice. See, that's a nice drawing, and you could tell you kind of labored over it a bit to get it working well, and I think that's important. I love it. I like your references.
Yeah, I could say the sketch, the actual line sketch. You definitely have more experience with drawing than painting, because that drawing is beautiful. I mean, wow! Mm-hmm. Look at that! Look at the beautiful flow and movement in there. What you could really.
I wish my drawings had that type of flow.
Yeah, no kidding.
I do.
And you can't. That's something you can't bluff. You know, like drawing skills is 90% of painting skills. You have to have that first. Values. Start to get to know how to simplify and organize your values, because that's what's really throwing us off all over the place.
Would be the next, I think, plateau for you to conquer, is to do it. You're drawing like this, set it up, copy it, do like 3 or 4 times, so you have your drawing, and you have your character's face, and the neck, and this is my beautiful version of your drawing. But you have like 3 or 4 different versions of that. But just block in with gray, black, white, maybe like some mid-tone somewhere, 4 or 5 values max, and just color in the shapes, arrange them like puzzles, and see if you can organize your value structure that way.
That makes everything readable, right? You want to have a nice readable image, absolutely.
And go from there, and try doing some black and white studies first, because before you can really begin to paint, you want to understand how to manipulate and utilize value to its fullest.
Yeah.
Like in your samples here, like... I mean, this is vignetted, but it's the softness on the shoulder and on the head, which you don't want to see like down here on her skin as bright as maybe on her head. Mm-hmm. That's why it's softer, and you could see the focal point surrounded, like the different color temperature.
Yeah.
In the colors here.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But yeah, drawing awesome. Just go back and work on your values first, and then. Once you get a little more familiar with values, then I think you'd be good to tackle color.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But lovely, 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 lovely drawing. The research you put into it really shows through on your finished product, too. So beautifully done. What do we got here? Unbenant.
Awesome.
Oh, okay. We got a lot going on here, actually.
So this is,
Okay.
I see the story. I can read the narrative instantly, which is awesome. It's a very dark theme image.
And visual storytelling is very strong. I mean, right away, your narrative is a very deep one, but we can read it. The whale hunters, and she's getting vengeance on these whale hunters. It's also a story that we can all connect to on a personal level, with with everything we know about animal cruelty and all that kind of stuff. And fisheries and whatnot. Excellent visual storytelling. Definitely.
Yeah. I'm not sure if this was just like your best reference that you had found or something, but just as a tip for you, like if this is your good one, at least try to find 20 more that are just like it. So you can pool and build the references to reconstruct your image that way. Because I know this is almost 1 for 1 for what you have, which... and in the perfect world, like, that's great if you can find that absolute perfect reference. But at the same time, you don't want to be like a prisoner to it. So, like, saying if you found this reference, that's dictating you have to draw it exactly like that, using your whole scene, having that perspective. Whereas if you found 20 or 40 different perspectives of like a whale like this, then you can reconstruct it once you understand it, and you can build it as you desire. That way you're not just, okay, I'm stuck to using it like this.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the case is here, but I just wanted to get that out there, at least for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, the other thing is, notice the heavy use of high and low value texture of the water on this princess creature. Okay, when you're not controlling your values, but by grouping and having clear high, medium, low, for instance, If you have an area that's high, medium, low all over the place, it creates a lot of visual confusion and can make your image very hard to read. So you have to make sure that you're controlling that and you're not going too crazy with highs and lows within a certain contained area and going too texturally, or it's going to actually take away from the power of your piece. You want
Yeah,
people to read it fast, right?
the brushwork gets a little busy in places.
Yeah.
But other than that, I actually like some of the comp. I think this one, it feels more natural. It's not quite as stiff. This is like, if the water is raging this crazy, this is perfectly straight, and it's right up the middle, which can work or not work in some situations. But it just feels a little more stiff here, and I actually do enjoy the previous sketch a lot more.
Yeah.
Like, if you took that, like this type of angle, but zoomed in to like this level,
Yeah.
then I think you would have had the best results.
Yeah.
For me personally, anyway. But awesome idea, and I love the narrative that you have in there.
Absolutely beautiful. Okay, what do we got here?
I didn't catch the name. Ocean Princess Challenge 5. Thank you for your submission.
Thank you for your submission, Challenge 5. That's your new name. We're going to call you that from now on. Your name is Challenge 5.
You have some nice rendering here. Like you did put a lot of time into painting this out. This is a very dark image.
Yeah.
Like,
Which
see the process. So
you're
something's contained.
Yeah, well, I would immediately jump in right now because this is something you see very commonly, especially in newer artists. You go over dark, where basically everything's basically black with little highlights that are catching off different elements. No, you want to illuminate your scene a little bit more than that because things get so dark that it basically looks like somebody just came in with a white chalk on a blackboard and made a few scratches. You lose a lot of that form and readability of your scene that way. Okay, so something to be very careful with.
See, like this, in this reference image too, this very well same could be black, but you can see all the light bouncing around from the tank. Likewise, if this is where the tank ends here, which we can barely see, you from the whatever orange light is that illuminating, which we don't really see, it's out of camera, but you'd see that orange light on the glass itself out here, and the various ways it would reflect and all that. You just would see it. So, I mean, I'm not even going to try to do that.
And remember, from a performance level, if you're thinking about performance, I very often tell my students this. Pure black and pure white is the equivalent of turning off the lights. And if you're on stage and the lights are off and you're sitting in pitch blackness, there's no performance going on, right? If you do that, you're kind of just, it's like me sitting there and doing nothing. So by having a little bit of value and seeing something going on in the background that isn't completely pitched out, then your image is still breathing. There's still activity going on in your image. And if you have a huge surface of black like that, it's essentially having a huge stage with one little person standing in the corner and nothing else. It's a waste of space. So be careful not to do that.
What you wanted to do is grab a lot of larger fish tank and aquarium references.
Yeah.
Because you'd see the light be bouncing around in the glasses like that.
Absolutely,
a lot more. I mean, you have this image, but we're talking like, you see like this bright. Things would be lighting up, bouncing around. There's also no... like that's basically it though. It's like some more like the spotlights to get the atmosphere in here.
Yeah, lovely water though, I have to say.
I mean, you do have some really nice rendering here, but and this also just kind of it's a weird setup. Like, just the composition choices in this are weird, and it could be absolutely used and viable in certain situations depending on the design brief. But at the same time, you just have like this vertical that goes straight down, nearly at the middle, and it's just dividing everything up so much. I don't know. It's an interesting layout. I'll leave it at that. But nice idea though. We have definitely original.
Yeah, very original and very nice. Very nice. Okay, what do we got here?
You want to try that name? I don't want to butcher it.
Horatio Estovan name. That's an interesting family name. Your family name is Name. Or maybe your name is Name and I just pissed you off, so I apologize if that was an ignorant comment. Check this out.
Interesting.
Oh, what do we got here? Okay. Ooh. Oh.
Like a whole bunch of things.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. Look at this. Okay.
Is this a poster? That's the...
I can see these are kind of sketches, just rough sketches to kind of get the pose worked out, and then you did a couple of tests with color and harmonies.
I think it's good that participating in in this challenge got you to do all this.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure how all of this exactly kind of relates to this.
Yeah.
Like I'm not. This just a little too on the unfinished side.
Yeah, no, yeah, because we're trying to figure out what those sketches relate to this finished product we have over on the far left.
Because we see like a person that looks like they have headphones
Yeah.
on, and this could be like some poster, could be like a movie they're going to see. I don't know. It just there's not enough there to for us to kind of pull from.
But that drawing and that design style and the composition. And I love that. I think you did a beautiful job. I mean, look at the design of that face. It's kind of bringing me back to a very old school poster design type of thing. A lot of artists from France very often would study that kind of stuff. You know, like old poster designs and stuff. There's a real retro feel to this that I'm really digging. Two-dimensional, got a bit of a Frazetta-ish type of feel to it as well. I really love that. There's something really cool going on there. Yeah. Be careful if you look at the full image. I'd be careful with your tangents. Like, for instance, how that blade is kind of coming behind the guy's hand in an awkward way. You'd want to create more of a clear read.
1, 2 tangents, 3 tangents, 4 tangents.
Yeah.
Tangents are your enemy.
Yeah.
So consider that for next time.
You can play with your sense of depth and three-dimensionality. You got to keep an eye out for that. Yeah, even the head is annoyingly too close to that dark bar coming across the top. It's a little close. You want your image to breathe. Use a little bit more negative space and allow your image to breathe a bit more.
Good eye, Adam.
Yeah.
Good eye.
Yeah.
Awesome idea. I just let's get it rolling. So post in the group. Let's see what it would look like finished.
Yeah. Beautiful. Wow. I'm really digging your style, man. Really nice stuff. Okay. Ooh.
Alyssa.
Ooh.
This is nice.
Alyssa V. All right.
Let's take a look at some. Oh, beautiful references.
Yeah, excellent. And nicely put together into your image too, I might add.
It looks like you were really trying to explore how to tell your story here, which is awesome. And I love looking at these types of sketches to get up to something nice like this.
Yeah. I'd say first thing that jumps out at me is be careful with your saturation. When everything is saturated, nothing has impact. It's like they say, if everything's important, then nothing's important, right? So you use saturation and power of colors to draw attention to something. In your case, because you have this flooded image of bright color, it's detracting from the whole thing and making it a little bit heavy on the eyes. And I think just knocking that back alone would make a huge difference for you.
Yeah, see, it's not so much your values. Your values are working.
Mm-hmm.
This is a little bit too jarring, though. This is like the first thing that I'm looking at now.
Yeah.
When you probably want to keep the emphasis down here and over to here.
Mm-hmm.
So you may just need to soften this up, knock it back a bit.
Yeah.
You always also don't need to have the light source directly in the image as well. You can just have it out of view.
Yeah.
But it's really nice.
I really like this, yeah. I love the beautiful composition, very immersive use of design, and like the set design is very nice. It's got a lot of eye candy to keep me interested.
And I can see where you got the saturation from. Your references are very saturated. That's how things can be. But when it comes to designing a picture, though, that's when we have to take our knowledge and our artistic freedoms and liberties to try to design an image that improves upon nature and that works to kind of sell the idea or the story that we're trying to convey.
Mm-hmm.
So to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
But awesome job.
Yeah, really beautiful. All right, what do we got next? We have by Jewel. The Jewel? Holy
Jewel.
Shit! We've got Jewel in our
My dad's a
competition.
big fan.
Me too, big fan. Fashionably sensitive, but too cool to carry.
Scrapped princesses. This is funny. These are the ones that didn't make.
Look at check this out. Scrapped princesses. I love it. That reminds me of Pressed Fairies by Brian Froud. Same type of theme. Oh, there's a lot going on here. Holy smokes.
You have a lot of ideas, and I actually like certain aesthetics of like a ton of them.
Yeah, like bioluminescence, or the girl whose body and her boobs are coming out of the water, and you've got that nice plasticky kind of reflection of the water on her.
And the butterflies just landing on the nice.
How convenient! Yeah,
the perkiest of little rock.
Well, they're good. They're good resting places. What can I say? Yeah.
Can't blame the butterflies. you have like a lot going on though. Like stylistically, you have
Yeah.
things that are really really simple and almost like animation like.
Uh-huh.
So you have like illustrations and then even more kind of fine artsy paintings. Like these three images here are vastly different
Hmm.
in terms of their aesthetic qualities. And then you kind of like, this is neat, like really neat.
A suggestion, artistically speaking, just as you move forward with your artwork, I would be very careful to not overuse your airbrush. You know, when you see those guys on the street that have those, they do airbrush paintings of galaxies and shit like that. They do Jupiter, and all the accountants who walk by from their office job go, that guy's an artist. Like they know what the hell they're
Yeah.
looking at. Airbrush is very cheesy. It's corny, and furthermore, it takes your brush stroke away, which takes away the artist's touch, right?
And yeah,
Careful not to go too far with that.
this has a little of that in it. This has a lot of that in it.
Yeah.
These two, I think, are less victims of it, just in terms of, if you want to, reference your own images. So, I think, yeah, this one's probably the least guilty of it,
Yeah.
even though it's pretty obvious on the hands here.
Yeah.
Yeah, try to think of things less airbrush and try to do more painting. Like, do studies, get reference, look at a lot of traditional paintings. I would recommend
Yeah.
as well.
And learn just digital painting, how to blend with digital paints using a hard brush. Just a basic hard round
Yeah.
brush, that's it. You don't need to get into fancy texture brushes. But just learn how to blend by hand, and you can get that bit of a nice painterly texture to your work.
I'd find 3 brushes that you like that are not soft at all.
Yeah.
And try doing studies with just the 3 brushes.
Yeah.
You'll improve your brush work tremendously.
Yeah. The chalk brush is a popular one. The hard round is another popular one. You can start with those because they're very forgiving and easy to work with, right?
Oh my goodness.
Jorge Oliveira, once again, bedazzling our competition with his awesome work. Let me see what he's got going on there.
A different take.
Yeah. I don't know.
The Ocean Princess.
Next. Psh, it's boring. There's nothing to look at here. I'm being sarcastic. Yeah, what do you think?
I like it a lot.
Yeah, pretty darn awesome.
I mean, it's well designed. The composition's nice. I like to see maybe a little more action in here where they're loading it up.
Mm-hmm.
Like a little more attention could be, but that's a personal thing.
Yeah, but you're right, because if you think about it, they're loading it, but then you want to see the opening in the side of that train ship thing where they're actually docking it in there. Yeah.
He has a very modest blue little light door here, where it's like when if you look at the old
okay.
what Ralph McQuarrie Star Wars art, when he designed the original movies, and he had the Jawa Sandcrawler pulling up on Tatooine, and it opens up, and it's just like, whoa, and you see all. That's what I want to see here, just a huge kind of opening with all kinds of awesome things happening inside.
Or if you have that door there and it's actually really far away, as we're thinking it probably is, you need to have a reference of a human next to that so you can see just how humongous that ship is, right? So have a little person caught in the light of that door, and that'll definitely draw our eye back there.
Because you have a good flow coming in here, coming over to here, bouncing back up to here, but then right here, the payoff is not quite as... That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
A little more of a payoff.
Yeah.
And again, that's nitpicking this awesome image and design. So awesome idea, George.
Good job.
Okay, here we go. Cool.
Who's our artist here? Christ. Oh no, Chris H.
Chris H.
So first we get Jewel, now we got Christ. I'm like, damn,
Awesome
we're doing well.
drawings.
Wow, look at that. Now, looseness, love it. Color, a little heavy, but you're actually kind of pulling it off. It's not completely freaking me out.
Yeah.
But be careful. We need to satisfy a certain area. Like I would compare the approach you have in this painting to a Sargent, like a John Singer Sargent painting. Make sure you're rendering that face out because there's the area people are going to spend some time. If you've got
A little too
blurry area,
soft compared to... that's fine. But the face...
hands.
By comparison, needs to be a little bit cleaned up, a little more edge work and attention in there.
Yeah, and the hands too, very important too. We always look for face and hands. That's where we express, right?
I'd say you fix these things, maybe balance the color saturation out a little bit in spots, such as back here and here. It gets just a little busy at times.
Yeah.
Where it's very nice and subdued down here.
Mm-hmm.
You could even play that up a little bit more, bringing in this bounce light, around some of these forms and kind of play that up. A little more subtle than what I just did.
Yeah.
You did it nice here. So work that up. Maybe add a little bit of the sky color in, over the on the coat. Render maybe like a little indication of what material or fabric this is. You have some room. You could really add some nice design elements to it. I recommend that. But other than that, it's really nice.
Yeah, it's really, and from a fantasy artist perspective, very nice. That's a very, you've got a good eye for fantasy art, for trading cards and that kind of stuff. You'd be awesome for that kind of stuff. Beautiful.
John.
Ooh,
So busy.
God.
Such a busy guy.
Yeah, no kidding.
I like that one a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I'm loving it.
Got his nice reference too here.
Yeah.
See, that's a good example of taking a reference like this, but he didn't follow it 100%, which is awesome. He took his own liberties with it. He embellished it, he designed it, he changed the lighting of it even a bit too, which is awesome. And it all to emphasize the focal point, the important part, right here.
Yeah. It reads very, very nicely.
Month after month, John is just improving like a juggernaut.
Something to look out for, John, is also you notice, like, for instance, on both images, they kind of do this a little bit. Not so much on the bottom one because you have that red to balance it a bit, but on the top one, notice how the color, the hue and the value of your character and environment are a little too close.
A little too samey.
You want to, yeah. It kind of makes for an overall flattish image. So you want to bring that character out a little bit.
Because at least this one is surrounded by the pinks and the reds.
Yeah.
And it has a little yellow. This is basically, 5 different tones of green and blue.
Yeah.
But that's why I immediately was drawn to this. Because this, by this point all over here and everything, it flattens it out immensely.
Yeah.
Whereas something like this has a lot of depth to it. Even this one, again, has a lot more, I think is a lot stronger.
Yeah. Well, you see also it has a strong silhouette. That dark form that travels through the entire piece, that catches the head, that's a much more readable composition than what you've got on your side, because you've got kind of a bit of light on dark, right? So there's a bit of a muddled feeling to that. So just be careful with that kind of stuff.
And, you just did a ton of work over here, and I love all of it. I really do. So many compositions, so many values, so many colors, so many designs.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why he's so damn good.
This is something you can put in a portfolio, as maybe 2 different things. You could put this and bundle a few of these with this, have this be a page, and then have these each, or kind of put a few of those with that, a few of those with that, and you can get 2 portfolio pieces out of this. Wouldn't be a thing. It'd be awesome.
Yeah. That's fabulous. Okay.
Bayer Friedrich.
Friedrich. Bayer Friedrich.
Okay, this is awesome. And I looked at this earlier when I was opening in Photoshop. And I really like the idea here. This is like Mad Max on water.
That's freaking awesome.
And I got it from the drawing, because I kind of stripped it away from all the... I just looked at this, the most bare bones, simplistic... So self-made. He made his boat, which helps.
This is so, talk about... Okay. I don't know if anybody's told you about this, you have the heart and the mind of an illustrator. And I don't mean illustrator as in video game illustration, I mean as in traditional illustration. Your style is your product. I looked at this and I immediately went, your very technique, your very painting style is so you. It's so, wow, I immediately identify with you, and your color choices are beautiful too. I love your color harmonies. This is beautiful.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, I mean, be careful compositionally, like the wave cutting across the girl's white face. That can kind of muddle the read of her face a little bit.
This is a little too aggressive, I think. A little harsh. It's the strongest line in the whole scene, and it brings us right through our head. But at the same time, since it's so strong and bold, I think bold is the best term for this. It also becomes a little bit distracting. Other than that, and I don't know if it's a personal choice or just something aesthetic you like, but for me, I would just personally, I'd like to see a little bit just the rendering. Just like this is like a great. For me, color sketch. Just take everything that you have here and just refine it, clean it up. Like, it just looks a little bit too rough and hodgepodge in some of the areas here, whereas like this is like a lot more nicely refined and rendered.
Yeah.
The quality is just a little inconsistent throughout it.
Yeah, a bit, perhaps, maybe a bit, but at the same time, be careful not to. Yeah,
Because
tell us.
it's
Just
part of his style, or it's
yeah,
part of his
that's the
development.
thing.
It's one or the other.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's just a choice he made or it's just how it turns up.
Uh huh.
So just work that out either way.
Yeah. But I mean, I wouldn't tamper with this too much with my opinion because your style is really lovely. I mean, I'm really enjoying this painting a lot. So really,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a lot of character to it.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Definitely your best piece so far.
yeah, for sure.
All right, Rodney.
Rodney.
Rodney's getting better too.
Yeah, no kidding. Wow, look at
Guys,
this. Look at the work you guys are putting into this stuff. It's
So
insane.
you took a page out of John's book, and you're really starting to step up your game here. You can see that. You can see he's
Yeah.
doing the characters. He's working out the designs. He's working out his ideas and his story, the scenes.
Yeah, I'm liking this a lot. Okay, now even if you look at your value thumbs, that says a lot about how your thought process is. Okay, so if you look at your value thumbs, there's certain ones that have a nice, clear, high, medium, low value, read extremely well. Other ones that are kind of gray on slightly darker gray, and there's a lot of movement. Be careful. Be careful to have a clear read. And in this particular image, I don't know, Tyler, if you wanted to just set this to grayscale, just so
Yeah.
we could see the value scheme, we might lose a lot of important information.
No, I was going to do that.
Yeah, see what that gives us.
See, yeah, this is like a great example. This is a great comp. This is a great comp.
Mhm.
This is a great comp. This is a great comp. The ones that are a little weaker are, this one
Yeah,
here
that's exact-
and this one here.
And even the one on the bottom left, because there's so much scatter of value, it's not grouped nicely, that it creates kind of a bit of visual confusion, like what am I looking at there type of idea, right? So you're trying to keep your forms grouped together as much as
Like,
possible.
yeah, if you want to have your head darker, take this, this drifting white, part of it, put it behind the head,
Mm-hmm.
so that the head's dark on light.
Yeah.
Or if you want the background dark or the head dark, shine, keep that dark, but then shine the light on the head.
Mm-hmm.
Very similar to what, in this piece here.
Yeah.
You have
Another
the full spectrum.
look at another subtlety that in this image that Tyler's showing, and
Oh,
to compare to yours. Yeah, just a little subtle detail. Notice that the face is not perfectly facing the camera, making this kind of mirror image face. You got to be careful with that. Notice that image is slightly tilted, and what that does is it helps to create that slightly three-quarter angle, gives a little bit more volume. So instead of the character just staring straight, and you have this mirror face, you have him looking up at you like that. But you can see that three-dimensionality of the face. Same thing with the shark in the background. Again, the shark is facing you, and what it made it, I thought I was looking at a bubble until I looked closely and it was
So
like, oh,
even
that's a
the
shark.
references are a little off center. The way you interpret them, though, it's perfectly looking straight at us.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, regarding the shark, while we're here, before we go on, remove any unnecessary elements. For me, the shark's just not doing anything for the image. It's not adding to the storytelling. It's not adding anything to this character. It just doesn't need to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just distracting at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Take it away.
Yeah.
And I think the image would be better for it.
Yeah.
Now, if the image is about this character commanding an army of sharks or something, no, that's a different story. Different composition.
Absolutely.
But awesome job, and I think you're coming a long way, and this is certainly one of the better pieces that you've done.
Excellent work. Tyler, just a little quick thing. I don't know about you, but my screen has the Skype window has frozen.
We're pausing and saving up the video so far anyway.
Perfect.
We'll see what we've done for damage.
Yeah. You got
Pause at the end and pick our favorite. Alright, so moving along, we had to clear some desktop space to make room for the next batch. Thomas, Ocean Princess. Here we go.
Ooh, this is looking nice.
Put my-
Ooh, look at this. Nice silhouettes too. I like that.
Yeah, nice into the nice design flow too.
Yeah.
Lots of nice references. I love the shapes. There's a lot of variety in these, and there's character to them too, which is important.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. A nice use of composition. Excellent use of composition. Nice control of the values. You can see how those values are nicely grouped together.
Yeah, and this is another one for everybody else that did a very kind of traditional underwater scene. There's a lot more control with the saturation here, and
Yeah.
I think that's the difference between some of them and some of the more problematic ones we ran into earlier regarding that.
Yeah. You can
There's
see
just a lot more clarity and focus.
Yeah, very, very nicely done. What would you say? Would you offer any constructive criticism on this
I
one?
would. I may like just take out like this is almost perfectly vignetted here,
Mm,
which I don't know, like in areas maybe like this, and this is just nitpicking. I would do things to like wipe away some of that negative space to just create more variety and flow with it.
hmm
You do know what I'm trying to say? Like maybe like take that up, maybe come down here, open this space up a little bit, little
Yeah,
subtle things like this,
yeah, that makes a nice
and
difference.
then the
Make it
edge,
less
the
contrived, right? Yeah.
yeah, the edge work also gets very busy in a few places. So what I would do, personally, is like I'd go through some of these shapes and just simplify them a lot. That way, they're not quite as busy. They're not quite as distracting.
hmm
Like this, right? This is nice and simple, and this is fairly simple to a degree too. But like, see, this is very hairy and busy. You can have roots, but maybe just like I don't know. For me, I'd simplify it just a little bit
And another
overall.
trick you can do with texture itself, when just playing with the forms, the shadow forms and stuff like that, is you can keep a little bit more of that detail around areas you want to drive attention. So, for instance, if you're looking at the bottom left of the image and it's got a ton of detail and variety, that's a big eye pull, and you don't necessarily want that to be competing with where you want people to look first.
Yeah.
It's another thing. So, just Tyler knocking it back is really helping to push your attention around her head more.
And the I don't know, this red is slightly distracting because it's you see it here and then here, very saturated. But like I'd keep working to keep the focal emphasis on the head because
Mhm.
this I don't know, Adam. I find that just a bit distracting.
The red at the bottom left.
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
like underneath here,
yeah,
even if it's like giving off like a glow, kind of
yeah.
like you have in here, this is just I think coming off like soften that up, maybe make it a little more purpley.
Yeah, you think you're underwater too, and that glow is strong enough. If you're thinking reflected light, that's cool. That adds a nice effect, but it's almost borderline of light caused by a fire or something like that. So you'd want to knock that back.
Yeah, as
Make
if
it
it
a little,
wasn't in the water. But
yeah,
overall, really awesome job and
beautiful. Yeah,
great execution. Thanks for entering.
well done.
All right, we got.
What's our
I don't know if
next?
this one had a final submission.
This is by Progress. What a weird name.
Yeah,
What kind of
the
a name is
progress. I
that?
think they may have. There could, and I apologize if I opened the wrong file, but I think I saw like a rougher version of this even.
Oh, that's really nice.
I don't know. We'll critique what's here anyways, and I'll double check on that for you.
Mm-hmm.
But I like your drawing and I like your use of color. Like these are really solid compositions in terms of
Yeah.
value and flow, and that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. Like as far as just in the rough form, has a lot of potential. It's beautiful use of harmonies and composition.
Yeah, I,
But I'm feeling, at least to satisfy our desire for more, would have one that was at least a little bit more finished. That
well,
was taken
that's
a
what
little bit.
I hate to. I remember seeing like a larger drawing of this in
Okay.
the submissions, but I don't recall seeing one that was actually just like outright completed. That's why I grabbed this because I think it was the only one in color.
Okay.
But
Okay.
we'll double check. It's only fair. We can always edit this out. Let me see.
Good.
Yeah, see, this is like the only other
Hmm.
one I saw.
Yeah.
VL.
VL.
So maybe this is how you were working toward the final, if that's the case. But yeah, we'll still look at the color versions because they kind of show us more. Even though the drawing here is going along very nice, just continue it and finish it.
Has a
Um,
very Discworld feel to it. If you've ever read
yeah,
the Discworld series, it's got that very kind of lyrical and playful, colorful, youthful feel to it, and this kind of brings out that same imagination spark to it. I love it. I absolutely love where this is.
which wouldn't I lean towards this one I think the most.
Hmm. And you know what? This image would lend itself to bounced light very nicely. Like to
Yes.
play with the bounced light would illuminate some of the front of them, so you weren't just hitting everything with a rim light in the back. You could get a lot of that in a more animated style image like this because you can push those lights and saturations a little harder. Yeah.
But look, your drawing is very beautiful.
Mhm.
That's showing through your use of color and compositions also very well. Just take it to a finish and post it in the group. I'd love to see it.
Yeah, this would be gorgeous as a finished piece. I'm sure it is. I can just tell by the sketch. It
All
looks
right,
lovely.
from Daniel Manning here.
Let's see what we got.
This is a nice soft image.
Yeah,
Next time,
very different feel too.
Daniel, submit a little bit of the process along with it too. That would be great, since that's what we're doing now. But yeah, since you went through all the effort, we'll take a look at this.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Well, what do you think?
maybe feels a little bit too warm in the overall tone. Nothing that can't be fixed, but I like it a lot. I like the softness of it, and
Yeah,
I like it's kind of playful in a way.
it definitely
Like
feels
he doesn't look like he's drowning or anything. He just looks like he's sleeping, and
yeah, meditative. You know, and it feels almost like looking at it. Even though I agree that the colors, like I did, my first impression would not be underwater until I saw the bubbles and the ripples.
yeah,
As the colors a little bit on the warm side, but the way you played with the rendering and the lighting, I apologize for that.
that's Adam.
That's not. I didn't do it. I swear. Let me go close my window a second. Oh, never mind. Never mind. Problem solved itself. It has. It feels underwatery. There's that light, loose, kind
Yeah,
of
I was
floaty.
just playing with the values a little bit
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
Hopefully, I'm not butchering anything.
yeah. Just a little touch to make it
Oh,
feel.
see that? Yeah, that helps it. We're like this is just basically color grading your photo,
Mm-hmm.
your painting. But yeah, I think it feels a bit more underwatery like that.
Yeah,
But it's nice though. I like it a lot.
difference. Absolutely. Story-wise, I think it explains itself extremely well. Um, you know.
It's very painterly. Maybe if you had more time and if you want to go back, maybe just like touching or cleaning up some aspects like the feet and maybe like a little bit of the edge work you could do. But overall, it's really nicely done.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't complain.
no,
Awesome job,
yeah, beautifully done. All right, what we got next?
Ivana Mueller.
These submissions are just insane. I'm
Yeah,
loving.
a lot of new names this week, this month. So awesome,
Who's this?
Ivana Mueller.
I'm Mueller.
Don't recognize the name, so
No, sounds new to me too. Yeah. Okay, so what do we got? Nice value studies, character sketches, some references.
yeah, some story going on, which is neat.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like the composition, and I like the idea, and I like the story. I like everything. But you may want to go around though, because if I do take this, and if we desaturate it, you'll see it will lack from a bit of a value structure a bit. Let me see, which just means it looks a little more flat, particularly here. I mean, she's still reading, which is good, but there's a lot that we could do, I think.
Well, zoom away. Look at this. Just zoom away to a thumbnail and see how much information you lose. And right there, you can see that between the crowd, the octopus, the water, the face of the woman,
There's no
you
depth.
lose most of that, right? It's just a jumble, and you should be able to read a well-planned image. You should be able to read what's going on even from small little thumbnail.
So
it's something
consider that, like maybe grouping these like darker or lighter, grouping behind them a bit lighter. That'd be my biggest. Yeah, there's a few tangents we can call out for you,
Yeah,
so you
absolutely.
can address them. We have right here, the first one I saw.
Yeah, the head.
These are just compositional things. Um,
Another one,
and
the other
right here,
down
and
there.
right here.
Lot-
It's just like there's a weird space, and this is also playing into the flattening of the image due to the fact that it's creating a weird sense of depth with these.
Also, be careful with your values. Like the tip of her spear against the white clouds, we lose that spear, right? Because it's white on white. So we're seeing foreground, background that both are sharing the same value. It confuses our eyes and it detracts from that overall sense of depth in your piece.
So look, just get more reference, and to restructure your values in your image, and then maybe even get a little bit more reference to the octopus, so you can work. The form is reading, and it looks nice, and it's nice and soft. But maybe I think revisit the texture on him a little bit.
Yeah, you could push that a little. It feels a bit too much like he was sculpted out of clay, but it was the early version of it, right? So just take it that little step further.
Overall, nice job.
Yeah. What do we got here?
This is super interesting.
very-
I didn't catch the name. Let me
That's-
see.
Check this out. Yeah.
already for upload. All right.
Right.
Ready
Okay.
for upload.
Maybe we can find a name.
Good name, but really interesting. Really cool
Yeah.
ideas. I love these a lot.
The loose sketches, yeah, lovely.
These have a lot of character to them, and I'm sure the moving down the final will as well. I like this guy a lot. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah. I'm liking every one of them. What I think is really selling your drawings a lot is your nice use of gesture, curves, dynamic forms, and stuff like that. You're very playful and very nice. A very nice sense of design in your pieces, which really, really translates nicely. Now, with that said, there's another reason why I appreciate the final, and that's because you took a really different kind of darker, less
Look at that, dragging him by the hair.
approach to, yeah, a less pretty approach. I love that idea.
See, I
This
would love to actually. Oh,
grotesque
okay, there's
princess.
the name, Benjamin something. Can't
Benjamin
make out.
Wiseman, I think.
But
The
dude,
resolution.
this is awesome, and I think this is
Yeah.
certainly one of the best uses of texture we've seen so far this month. And so, for those of you like the previous entry that we say maybe look at the texture of something a little better.
Hmm.
This is how you want to handle that.
Yeah, it's
It,
lovely.
it looks very fishy,
Yeah, it really
but this
does.
is awesome. I maybe like you could balance this out maybe a little bit more, like in terms of like the background's already simple, which is good, but it maybe like if you find the way with the spotlight. I'm having trouble wording this. So he's either vignetted on it with light, or because these are reading pretty good, but I think there could be a few little things that could just push it a little bit further. What do you think, Adam?
Well, I'm thinking, yeah, I can see. It's hard to find the word because it's such a nice looking painting.
Could,
But like, if you look at it, for instance, at her arms and her the value and color of her clothing, of her kind of body clothing type of thing against the background, we're losing her silhouette a little bit. The other thing I would say too is that nice loose dynamic line that you've got in your sketches, the wisps, the nice use of S curves, and
yeah,
dynamic like forms that start small and grow big. You have a nice use of like kind of like blowing out your forms. As much as I love the rendering in this and the idea of your final, I feel like it's losing a little bit of that looseness you found in your sketches. So
yeah.
try to bring a little bit of that spontaneity, your line spontaneity, into that final design, and you can really come up with some stuff that jumps and grabs people's attention.
It definitely tightened up a bit.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is like there could be a bit more areas of like rest and stuff and cast shadows within the form. Like if you have like this nice blue strong overhead light, apparently
Mhm.
coming from this way, we can see that in the clouds, or the main light though. And I think that's what it is. It's a little bit of the lighting, because you do have this nice rim light for the blue, but you do have this very strong key light that's warm up in
Mhm.
front, which is fine. But like in an area like this, what you could do, I think if I want to take this to a darken, you could have a nice cast shadow like
Mhm.
underneath this area here to really help kind of sell that form. Like underneath here would be all a little bit more darker, I think, in there.
Mhm.
Maybe a little bit of shadow under the hair, and then like you have it here, all in shadow. This could be all in shadow a little bit more in shadow like this. Look at some of Dave Rapose's work. He does this sort of thing really, really well
Mhm.
with the way he does this very similar lighting. But overall, this is a great job.
Yeah, really great job, beautifully done.
Let's take a look at this awesome one from
Very different here.
Aiva.
Look at that.
I am not going to try to say your name. I'm sorry. I will.
Let me see.
butcher it.
Let me try. Let me try. Let me try.
Adam loves to try the names. It's
I love
right,
trying.
right here.
uh, wow, you've got a tough name. Okay, Yeva. No, Yeva. So. Oh, forget it. You know what? I'd have to practice that a few times before I could roll it out smoothly. Okay.
Oh, this is how you say it. Oh my God.
Shochunaite. Shochunaite.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. Well appreciated. I
I'm
guess
guessing
I'm not.
that
we're
was
not
the first time they didn't have that comment that it was.
That's funny. Well, my mother's maiden name is Jolkiewicz, a Polish name, but everybody used to call it Zoliwix because they couldn't pronounce her name in Polish.
I also lost you, Adam. I used to have your.
Oh, you lost my video?
Yeah.
How about now? Should come
Here
back.
it is. Adam's back, everybody. Sorry.
Yeah, Skype's been doing that lately. It's been just deciding, screw you, don't feel like looking at you anymore.
So they don't have me for like the first batch, and then they'll have you for part of this batch, but that's fine.
Nice loose sketches in this one. Look at them.
These are great as well.
Curves.
A lot of flow and movement to these.
Lovely use of exaggerated forms and sweeping gestures. Love that. Oh, that's exquisite. Look at this.
This is very playful and energetic.
And you see how that looseness is translating into the finished product. We can feel more of that looseness and dynamic.
Yes.
Rendering style is much more simplified in this one, but
Again,
we didn't lose that spontaneity, right?
My primary concern with this is the flattening with the value. We have this is all white, and then this is all white,
Mm-hmm.
and it just there's a little bit of the pictorial space that gets lost in that.
Yeah.
And that, I think, just find a way to balance that out. Darken it, shade it, maybe darken the background. Maybe, like, I mean, the light coming through is nice, but maybe if you just took, everything back there and darkened it to a degree, it'll make the character pop the way we want it to.
Be wary of white on dark, right? So the white hair against the flower, the white hair against the white hair against the windows in the back, or the reflection in her tail against that white area that's right behind the scuba diver. Those can compete with each other and flatten the image out. Where just take it out if it's competing. Then just
see,
take
now
it out.
now the head is, we can see that.
A lot nicer.
So just be wary of that, and that can come just to the design itself. This bottom light is also really kind of gorgeous too, that you kind of found in this composition. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I think the drawing's great. The forms are reading well. If you have more time, go in and pop in a little more detail. I certainly don't think that would hurt.
Spend a bit more time on those hands too, because hands are always challenging. Which you can see, you've got these lovely forms of the chest and the ribs and everything, and then the hands, the fingers are a little bit kind of crotchety and shrunken. So you want to loosen that up and bring some of that
a little more elegant and thin.
Yeah.
But it's worth noting the design of your Ocean Princess itself is really gorgeous.
Beautiful, really beautiful work. Well done.
Niflheim. The fish have come to play.
The fish have come to play. People must be making fun of me every single time I see a new one. I go, oh. Emily always makes fun of me, my daughter.
Oh.
She goes, oh, wow. But I legitimately, I'm getting a nice surprise every time I look at these. So I am being legit with you guys. Look at this, man. This is awesome.
This is awesome.
Beautiful. Look at the color harmonies in this, too. That's gorgeous.
Yeah, you pulled off, like, unity with variety.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that is... It's hard to pull off, and you did it
very
awesome.
Rendering style too, like a very distinguishable artistic style too. You definitely have a style going on in there, which is lovely.
Yeah. So anything I think I'll be saying about this may be nitpicking, which is good for you, I guess. Maybe like a slightly weird place to crop this.
Yeah, you don't want to cut those feet off in an awkward place. Yeah.
Probably could just extend that down a bit. This texture up here is a little bit busy, because this is all very busy. This could probably be simplified a bit. Something more like this, a little softer, a little bit more motion. This becomes static and very congested.
Yeah. Yeah, and that can pull your attention away from her a little bit. I mean, her color really helps her stand out as far as value, like tonal values are concerned. It definitely pops. The other thing is, again, lovely drawing and everything like that, but then when you get to the hands, you can see there was a little bit of a struggle with those hands, right? Use reference, model your own hands, take a picture with your iPhone or whatever the case might be, get some references. You don't want to make it too realistic, but you want at least those proportions and those overall.
Yeah, and like with the knees too, Adam. You see, like the knees and stuff. Just reference maybe the proportions are even a little off here, but that's something you can fix easily just by referencing and doing some measuring.
Anatomy too, like knowing where a kneecap is, right? Because we don't see kneecaps, we just see square knee areas. So,
but overall, it's a very good job.
Yeah. Yeah. Lovely.
Oh, I forgot the name. Roberto.
Very simplified, but very lovely illustration style here.
Another lot of sketches with a lot of movement and energy to them, which is awesome.
It's funny. Usually something this simplified, I'd kind of go, it's lacking a little bit of work. But for some reason, this is you're kind of almost pulling it off here. Like, wow. I think that's really lovely. But I do think it could use a little bit more. Yeah, especially like around the body and the horse, a little bit more texture, a little bit more information.
See, I like how simplified and blocked in the values are in the sketch. Mm-hmm. Like you could see a very definitive shape and everything. This all just looks like it was one tone, and then you just color dodge the whole middle, which is just it's lazy because you'd want to go in individually and control it all very deliberately. Where it's just like we had it all at a darker tone and we just burned out or color dodge the whole center of it. Mm-hmm. Whether you did that or did not, I'm not sure 100%, but that's what it looks like.
Looks like, yeah.
And that you want, like, instead of the waves transitioning and having a lot of flow and movement, a little more like what these and what these have, it's just like it's
Just
that
want it
gradation.
circle of dark, right? And that's that from a professional audience member, somebody a professional looking at your work. They go, "That's what they did," and you can see that kind of
See,
trend.
like this, it
Spend
looks like
five
you
minutes
just did
painting.
that, and
Ah,
it's just a lazy thing.
yeah.
Not that I'm trying to say that your lifestyle or anything is lazy, but in terms of the technique here, I just go back in with it, revisit it, and make the flowing and the shapes a little bit more deliberate in regard to that.
You know what I would mention too is you notice that every one of your forms, i.e., the horse, the girl's hair, the girl's skirt, the waves, everything, is one solid form, and there's nothing that breaks free of these solid forms. It feels very much like paper cutouts, which kind of gives it a bit of a style, right? But
Hmm.
at the same time, seeing hair as a solid shape and not having any flyaway hairs or little groups of hair makes it feel very static, and it takes away from that feeling of movement. So certain areas you'd want to loosen that up, get those
A little,
bumps,
yeah, a little bit in that hair. I see
splashes,
that now that you
that kind of
say
idea.
that.
Yeah, the horse's mane or something like that. You want to bring in some looseness to it a little bit. Loosen up just a touch, not overly, because you'll lose your style, but enough just to kind of give it some more variety, give some negative
But
space.
beautiful color harmony again,
Yeah,
and a nice movement and flow.
very unique. Yeah, absolutely. Right. We're doing it, Tyler. We're
Katie Savage,
actually getting through this.
we
This
are.
is
Hey, Katie. Welcome to the challenge. All right,
wow.
what's going on here?
Oh, this is
Wow.
feast for the eyes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow, look at that. There's a lot to enjoy in this piece. And you really like from what you took from
Yeah,
the
this is different. Yeah, stylistically, it reminds me of some animation films I've seen, some indie ones. Like,
yeah,
there's a lot of beauty in this, and if I make any critique in this, it's in my most humble opinion to not destroy what you have going on here.
yeah. It's very experimental. In fact, you know what this is a big compliment you're going to get here. When I was working on the Disney show, we'd get a lot of the concept art from Disney, right? And one of the things that I love about Disney is that they're so experimental. They really celebrate everybody's diverse style of art. So
Hmm.
you get these a whole series of different types of artwork, ink and off-centered color and monochromatic stuff and paint, you name it. And this has a very experimental style to it that really lives up to that kind of quality, which I
Yep.
really have to say I respect a lot in your work. Um, a few little confusing areas in terms because you've got so much detail and stuff. Like one of the things I loved is that it looks like she's got this very crazy braid, and I thought, is her hair made of lobsters? I thought that was kind of cool, and I thought, no, maybe it's braids. But then it's partially covering her face as she's being attacked. There was a little bit of maybe overworked around that face, making it a little confusing. Around the dress, you can stand to obscure things, but around that face, I want my eyes keep saying, ah, crap! I could use a little bit more clarity so I could read what's happening in her face a little bit better,
Yeah,
right?
and I'm just toning down a little bit of the background so we keep that emphasis right here. That's all
Hmm.
I did.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it's quite lovely image to look at.
yeah.
You might like make a style choice or consider it to do some nice little like specular highlights on the skin, just like little dabs of um, like color here and there, like around where like some of the joints kind of work, maybe like on the shoulder. That could
Yeah,
work really well with this,
yeah, absolutely.
like you have on the nose and the lip. Like I think just like the rest of her arm needs that sort of treatment.
I can only imagine how much work you put into this. This
Yeah,
looks,
and I wouldn't even know how to recreate something like this. It's just so filled with your own personality. Don't lose
yeah,
don't lose that.
yeah, no, not at all.
Very beautiful.
Lovely. Who's the artist again?
Katie Savage,
Katie. Oh, a cool name. Damn you with your cool names, Katie Savage.
Lucas Hefty. Here we go.
Ah, Lucas, like my son. Right,
All right.
right.
Yeah.
It's a much darker feel to this piece.
Yes.
Okay. Do we
Values.
have a final? Do we have something that's a little bit more? I guess these two
Yeah,
ones.
we're working our way
Oh,
down. That's a beautiful photo. Wow.
yeah. Oh, tornado clouds. Yeah, doesn't get any better than that. Ah, okay. I see what's up. Oh, wow. All right, that's a big
This
jump.
is, yeah, really atmospheric.
Nice use of composition, driving our eye down to the princess. Um,
My my suggestion may be to the brushwork looks a little heavy in places. You could work to simplify that in a few, like soften it up like this to keep the emphasis down here. Because I get kind of personally I get kind of caught up looking at all the. I mean, you have beautiful brushwork up here, but at the same time, it's also pulling away from what's happening here, particularly on the edges. We can keep this really kind of simple.
Hmm. Yeah, like textures like anything else, and we've mentioned it before, right? If you make everything important, you're making nothing important, and we want that importance to be around that area, the princess herself and the area surrounding it. So if you look at the ground on the bottom left, the clouds up on the top right, all along the border, there's so much heavy use of contrast and texture that it's kind of making everything heavy, and by doing that, you don't feel compelled to appreciate what the story's about, i.e., princess walking through this archway, right?
And
So.
take a cue from like this photo, for instance, and even your own. The colors are stronger in your color rough. Actually, there's a little bit more happening over here, a little more greens and yellows, and you could take these kind of color notes here, and I think if you injected them, behind here around the splash of the character,
Hmm.
you will surely kind of spice things up a bit.
Hmm. Hmm.
So let me see. Linear dodge. I think that's what I wanted. Maybe not. Oh, I'm gonna go over here. Yeah, it's like little touches of this.
Yeah, that'll immediately draw your eye right to that, right where you need it to go. That hit of
But
warmth.
it's something. Don't rush it. Like do it very kind of delicately. So it's fairly subtle, but not entirely. The other thing you can do, like we did with the clouds, um, again, we made this comment a few times this week, is you can simplify some of these forms. Um, Maybe make the character a little bit bigger. It is very tiny, and it is. Oh, okay. Here we go.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I am sorry about that.
we didn't realize there's more to the painting.
Um,
Holy smokes! All
you know what you
right.
could probably do actually is take something like this. We'll give you a few.
Yeah, pull down, draw our eyes down. You notice that very often in movies, you'll see like when
Get
there's
rid
a
of it. You don't need
conversation
it.
happening between two people. Very often they'll frame the camera cutting off a bit of the top of the guy's head, and that what that does is it pulls your attention down into here, into the face. By showing that negative space above the head, you're kind of creating a bit of a floating area where your eyes can wander. So this keeps you really zoned in. So by taking off a bit of that top, you're
I
pulling
may
us down.
even go a little crazier with it. Do something like that. I don't know. This is starting to just engage us as a viewer
Yeah.
a lot more.
You know what I would do though? I wouldn't necessarily. I think it's a bit awkward to cut off
Yeah.
those flags at the top, but you could darken that area, knock it back so that you're pushing that vignette effect of towards the princess, right?
Yeah, Adam's right. I agree with him.
I'm always right, and even when I'm wrong, I'm still right.
And then just like maybe up the size of the character by like 20%
Yeah.
or something like that. That way it's like just bringing us a lot more in.
Mhm.
But yeah, as I was saying before, I got distracted by that. Just simplify. So, see, this very very busy, and I think I call it a noisy edge. And you don't necessarily want a noisy edge. Just simplify it
Yeah, knock
a
it
little
back.
bit. But beautiful idea and execution overall.
Very nice. So what do we got?
I got Photoshop locking up is what I have.
Nice.
Uh,
Oh, it's getting a bit of a lag spike there.
yeah. All right, I think we are here.
Yeah.
Lily or Beth.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh
This
yes.
is very
oh, yes.
nice.
This is definitely jumps out.
Reminds
and
me of what? What's the illustrator?
Oh.
Arthur Rackham.
Yeah, yeah. Compositionally, he's very inspired by. He's got a couple of Bouguereau paintings up there. One of my personal favorites.
Really nice design drawings too.
Yeah.
I love this.
This is very traditional illustration. You can see how, when you compare this to what we've been looking at before, in most cases, except for a couple of examples, we had more of an illustrator style. You can see the real difference between an illustrator and a concept artist. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is an illustrator. This, the composition, the playing with inside and outside of a frame. It's got a bit of a comic book style playfulness with the frame, right? All different types of
I'd
things.
push some of that a little further too. Take the background splash, maybe extend it out to this far.
Mhm.
So you can have your blue over here, and I'm not gonna try to recreate the whole background, but
Yeah, kind of off.
have it extend over this, so it gives everything a little bit more room to breathe.
Yeah, that's nice.
We have this color here, And then, you could add to like the design decision of some of this too. Maybe even add like a slight white border around it, or do it in your own kind of way where you draw it and make it fancy, and it just like little splashes like this can complement and tie everything well. Because as it was before, you have the yellow circle behind her, the sun essentially, I guess, and it's just perfectly kind of touching the edges, and that was just making me feel a bit too cramped. So that I think that would maybe shrinking this down like 20%, so it's it's behind her or something, but maybe more like
just that
like
little
that.
touch of symmetry really adds a little something to it. Yeah, absolutely.
And then I'd make it transparent. Well, I'd make it opaque. It gets a little busy seeing it like overlaid like that, like a
Yeah.
spotlight. It's a little bit weird,
hmm
but it's a really nice image.
It is. I have to say,
Totally
it's
different take.
yeah, yeah. And
Beautiful.
this is something that could translate into a lot of different types of careers, fashion design or
Hmm.
costume design or, even like illustrations for cards or things like that. There's a lot that's going on in this piece. I really admire it. Very nicely done.
All right, Antoine, what you got?
Antoine Dupont-Isaïs, my fellow Quebecer. All right. Yeah. Well,
Nice references. A lot of
I
your
know,
hands.
pretty sexy, eh? Antoine reclined on the bed. Around. Well done, sir. Yeah, and quite feminine, I might add, on top of it. Yeah, well,
Gotta embrace it.
you must embrace the man in all of his glory. Yeah, well, what do you
Beautiful,
look for?
beautiful colors, beautiful harmony, beautiful lighting. This is a moment. You're depicting a moment,
Hmm.
and I'm invested in that now, and I like that.
Yeah.
What's coming out a little flat for me is this whole area here.
Hmm.
It's just I'm not believing it. I think it's maybe like a little too soft up in here. You want to get some hard edged, some marks that we saw in this piece here is a good example of some of those kind of marks that you want with some of the forms and the muscles.
Hmm.
Like this, there's some hard edge in there. I think
Yeah.
yours would benefit particularly in those knees from that.
Hmm. Especially where there's overlaps, right? Where the back of the knee, the back of the calf muscle, where it's overlapping the back of her thigh, right? Get a nice hard edge, get a bit of light to catch on there, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you know what too? It's actually like technically speaking, you're using your reference, but one of the little mistakes I noticed you made as well is you have on the fabric, on the part of that couch, or whatever she's sitting on, the fabric that's overlapping her knee, that's pressing against the ground, you have a bit of a shadow there, and that almost makes it look like the shadow is under her leg, which makes her leg look like it's too thin. When in fact, you should have had more of the shadow on the leg itself, like a bit of ambient occlusion, and that would show that that fabric was overlapping the knee, showing that it would correct that little illusion that you've got going on there. I also think, as far as the rendering is concerned, the overall image feels very smooth everywhere, and I feel like a bit of a lack of satisfaction in terms of a bit more of a gritty texture to balance that softness, so that it doesn't
Well,
feel
you could
overall.
complement the softness of like her dress and her skin with like his armor and some of
Yeah.
his skin. Get some real like rework the texture on him here particularly. And I
Uh,
I, I believe this one. I'm sorry, I should have blown it, but like this is what I'm talking about. Some of his texture, you can really get in there and get it pretty meaty
yeah.
with how you handle that, and particularly with the armor as well. It's a bit
Yeah.
soft, and that can contrast her really really well.
Yeah.
And of course, what I was doing, like I usually, I don't know if at this point if it's just a pet peeve of mine, but your armor just feels a bit too dainty. Like like I always say, beef it up, make it feel really bulky and tangible, like it's on him. If I take it off, it's again, if we're looking through, drawing through his armor here, he'd have like a little shoulder and a little bit of arm. Maybe
Hmm.
that's how he is, but it still just feels way too weak for the character.
Realistically speaking, a lot of skinnier men were very often put in plate armor because they could fit in it, right? But by today's standards, it looks kind of weird.
Yeah,
A skinny guy will look good in the armor, but we expect a little bit more.
bronze.
This is what people are going for. I know it's a bit sexist to say that, but generally speaking, that's what the industry calls for when it comes
I'm looking
to.
at your broad shoulders, Adam. You wouldn't fit in that armor.
Oh, not a chance. I would just be bursting out all over the place. Oh,
So when
forget
you
some.
think Anton, you think of armor, just think of Adam just bursting out of the armor in a very masculine way.
Bursting. An explosion of shoulder. A big explosion.
Look at maybe like if this is at this end of the spectrum, look at some Warcraft drawings and designs at the opposite of the end of the spectrum, where everything is just exaggerated and kind of like superimposed. Meet somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that could definitely translate it into like a Warcraft style rendering would definitely lend itself. Look at this.
Adriana.
Very different type of rendering style.
Yeah, I like this. I love this texture and I love the character in this.
Yes.
Nice mood too. Overall,
Everything has this woodsy feel. Who's the artist here? Adrian?
I think it was Adrian or Adriana. I apologize. Adrian. Snake
Adrian.
oil. It's called snake oil.
A. Adrian A. Okay. Okay.
Let's look at some of these stories. You put a lot of thought into this, and I may not even interpret everything that you were going for, and that's not your fault or anything. It's just you did put a lot of time into this, and I can tell.
Mm-hmm. A little now with all the beautiful rendering, beautiful use of composition, beautiful design. What I'm seeing here is a little bit of. I wouldn't want to come in and come up with some crazy contrast that'll make it too flashy. That's not your style. I can see that, but a little bit of clarity, maybe a little bit of mystic, like a bit of atmospheric fog to help the silhouette of some of those characters pop.
Yeah.
Like 3 little purple minions at the bottom, or that large horned wizard, or the one
this just
on
gets
the left.
it gets very congested or a little bit flat with the pictorial space. Take these guys out here for instance. If we would just lighten like this color right back here that you already have there, and you soften things up
A little
just
bit.
a little bit behind them to make the silhouettes pop, it can go a long way. They like emphasize the shadows too that they're casting. You know they're there. You drew them, but like emphasize it. It'll add more drama. The other little part that I found slightly awkward was just the way that this whole arm here is posed. It feels like a little bit too like tight, like a little unnatural.
Yeah, a little physically impossible, perhaps.
Get some photo reference for this pose. This hand is not as bad, but it's something I would certainly consider revisiting.
Uh-huh. I would love to see this in a book illustration.
Yeah, I can definitely see this as a book illustration.
I would buy the book for this. Period. The other thing that's a little bit misleading is that big blocky structure right behind her back, because it's kind of blending in with her trident or at least her trident and her body. It's like it's almost as if she has something falling on her back. I'm not quite sure what that is. It doesn't necessarily kill the image for me, but I'm just a bit confused about it, compositionally speaking.
And the fact that there is, I mean, maybe she has multiple tails because I see that in this, but the 2 tails is a bit, I don't know. Oh, I guess here's the reference right here. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, yeah, 2 tails. Yeah,
interesting.
2-tail thing at the
Really
bottom.
interesting.
Yeah.
Do you see the forms that we get in the statue? How the fold's going around, it's creasing in. You see the highlights on all the upper forms. You can probably afford to get a little bit more of that volume on your character here as well. You know, it goes in. We have the rib cage underneath here. The belly will kind of come out a bit. It'll go back in. Do a wireframe draw out over your character to really articulate what those forms are, because it all is feeling like, if you know, here's the chest, that anatomically things could be a little suspicious. What do you think, Adam? You know your anatomy.
I honestly, I would be nothing but deliberately looking for things to complain about at this point. I think those are a few little tidbits, but apart from that, I think it's just gorgeous. I love
the designs on that whole wood feeling that you mentioned. That it's part of your personality and character that you imbued into your image, and I like that a lot.
Yeah. So, you want to pause it for 2 seconds, just so we can see which one we want?
All right. So, Adam and I have chosen our favorites from this month's challenge. Again, this is just our personal preference. It's not directly saying everybody's better than everybody, but these are our favorite. They spoke to us the most.
Yeah, particularly difficult. We deliberated over this for probably
10 minutes or so. It was so
40
tough.
minutes. 40 minutes. It gets longer every time we say it, 2 hours.
Well, we like many of these, and this is certainly some of the strongest batch
Yeah.
of images we've received since
Yeah.
doing this about a year ago. Our favorite pick for this month would be Katie Savage's here.
Yeah.
We really appreciated the
Katie?
originality, the creativity in this,
Yeah.
and just the personality in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Experimental, beautiful use of work. I mean, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, it's good like that
really exciting.
energetic, innocent, and carefree type of vibe to it.
Yeah.
And I'm all for that.
Absolutely.
Now, our runner-up or our kind of like our agreed upon second favorite would be this image down here of John's.
By our good man John. Particularly, we both had our eyeballs particularly on the one on the bottom, and we both said, "Oh, so frustrating. We want to see a blown-up version of that."
Yeah.
Because it got kind of drowned in with all this
In all your other amazing work here, and it's just the same size, and like we'd love to see it just so huge.
Yeah.
But this is a testament to how strong it is because it's so small on a page, but it speaks to me.
Yeah.
It really does, and it's so interesting. And overall, the technique is it's consistent, and well rendered and thought out.
Yeah.
And your hard work shows.
And really, like as far as traditional fantasy art goes,
This is it.
You're right on the money with it. Like you really like this is something that professional.
Yeah, if you're not getting any kind of commission or freelance work for whatever, you should be because these are as good as anybody else's.
You're good for it. Yeah, you're ready to start. You're ready to start applying. Yeah, absolutely.
But awesome job, everybody. This is an absolute pleasure.
Yeah,
and a privilege.
Yeah, absolutely. Just absolutely humbled by the submissions this time around. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and I will mention, by the way, sorry to interject. Remember that both Tyler, I don't know, are you still looking? You still have openings for
Always booking.
What's that?
Always booking.
Always booking. Awesome. And do you have any openings immediately, or are you opening up soon?
I don't have openings till October at this point.
October, okay. I have a few opening up after the holidays, so they're going to be about 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I'm going to have some spots opening, particularly the morning slot Montreal time, 9 to 11. So if you're available, depending on the time difference, you can definitely give me a shout. You can check out all the info for that. And yeah.
And I apologize for the delay in this one coming out by 2 weeks. I had to go to Hawaii, and we couldn't set up a meeting before then.
Poor guy. Okay.
But I will announce the next one as soon as I can get everything wrapped up and tied together, everyone. So thank you for your patience.
Thank you very much, guys.
Take care.
Yeah.